So, okay, let me get rid of the pop-up window. So my title of today's presentation is Social Network Analysis and People Analytics for Social Science Research. I like to maybe make a quick declaration. So this is, I got my PhD in 2003 from the University of Illinois. And I wrote my dissertation using grounded theory, qualitative research. I took a lot of statistics and I worked as an IT manager. And team, I was always interested in why group work, teamwork is so difficult. But I could not write my dissertation using quantitative research. My skills were limited, and there were not many courses related to studying group research. And so for my first maybe 10 years, I used the multivariate statistics for most of my research. And I will talk a little bit about it to give you a little bit of background. But I made a subtitle as to learn with the data to find an actionable insight. So this research, my journey was not giving me an answer that I was looking for those questions. And so there are lots of options for you as a researcher. And so let me see. My slide doesn't move with the clicker. I got stuck here. Technology always gives me some problem. So let me upload the slide again.
Okay.
So from here, from current screen, and let me try it again. So yeah. So to give you a little bit of a background, I teach and do research on connecting leadership, employee behavior. But when you think about employee behavior, I want you to maybe consider it as a consumer behavior. And so in order for consumer or employee to improve their performance, change their behavior, it doesn't come from just one simple factor. There usually are multiple factors at the multiple level. It can be conditions of the job. It can be people they are around. It can be the leadership. It can be the culture of the organization. And so when I worked as an associate editor for Human Resource Development Quarterly, this is one of our primary empirical journal in our field. And I was lucky to review a lot of papers, a lot of methodologies, and they were using many kinds of good survey instrument to better measure employee behaviors or work-related variables or organization-related variables. And I shared a little bit about, I worked as an IT manager for 6 years, and that gave me a good chance to work with the programmers. I studied scripting languages and studied the database, met with the clients. If you don't speak the language of a programmer, you don't get the respect. And in order to plan and finish the project well, you have to delegate and communicate the work process with your team members. And so I didn't plan on it, but for over the 20 years, when I think about what preparations and experiences helped me the most, it wasn't necessarily things that I planned. And but more surprisingly, it was the things that really I struggled with. I just want to make it clear. I also worked as a accreditation evaluator. So in Korea, there's a Ministry of Education, and they go out accredit different programs. Because in the United States, there are more than 4,000 colleges and universities. It is divided by 6 regions, and every academic program has to be accredited. And this experience, the program evaluator go to a different site and maybe spend a day or two. They look at the curriculum, they look at the students' learning experiences, they look at the quality publications of the researcher. The point is, you can do a lot of complex statistics, and complex like research. But if the administrator or people who make a decision do not understand your research, then you get into trouble. And so you better like practice and improve your like skills and experiences to translate your research into communications. And this is the first year I am serving like my association called Academy of Human Resource Development. In Korea, HRD field is relatively well known because there is an entity called 한국산업인력공단 and 고용노동부. So they do annual conference every year. And the field of HRD is an academic home for professors and like students who do research on HRD, like get their doctoral degree. And so serving in that capacity is really an honor. And so we just had a conference in DC, and our field like conference is attended every year over about 500 people from globally, Europe, Africa, and Asia. And we have four journals, and Texas A&M is one of the largest programs. So these are the pictures of town hall, new like first attendant orientation, graduate colloquium. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of a background. I know like HR is not your discipline, but like I said, when you after you get your degree, you will work with the people in an organizational context. And like maybe every area has been going through a lot of changes these days due to technology, due to AI. And so our field too, like it used to be divided into two major areas, especially in a large organization. There's a human resource management function, hiring, firing, compensations, labor relations. But these days, like no matter where you go, you want to go where you can see your career, where you can see like lots of opportunities to experience different things, work with the good people. So from starting to, from recruiting, like onboarding, on-the-job training, like team building and giving feedback, performance feedback, and engaging and recognizing some people leave the company, come back. So turnover, maintaining retention, those all has become very important. And when you look at the like this picture, probably you might heard some of these trends: hired quitting, remote work, hybrid work, maybe employee thriving experiences, resilience. So digital transformation. The thing is, like new trends come out every year. And so I always share with my students, don't chase after the trend. Like instead focus on like a foundation. And here, what I'm trying to like emphasize here is you may be a star, you may be like a key player, but when it comes to working together, like creating productivity, excellence, it is 80% come from teamwork and system work, organization work. So if you go somewhere and you don't see, they don't have a good, like not just the human resources system, but talent development system, then you may reconsider your career. And so I will not talk much about AI, but foundation model, mobiles, technology has become something you cannot ignore. But I like to say a little bit about like why did I study social network analysis and people analytics. I thought about just talking about social network analysis, but I decided not to because I am really passionate about people analytics. And people don't know, like even though they talk a lot about and understand the importance of data analytics, this is a very new field and emerging field, but it is affecting like a lot of organizations, our society critically. And so when you look at the slide at the top middle, like this is how I studied. Like when I worked as a team IT manager, I saw every team dynamics was different, even though like I know many of you have group work project experiences. Not everyone likes the group work, but in order to create something meaningful, then teamwork is unavoidable. And then after studying, like reading these books on social network analysis, I realized maybe if you don't understand why, like what is a social network conceptually, like contextually, why it is important, then your application skills to design good research is negatively affected. And so you look at the left side, books on sociology, social network, and then because of my experiences as an IT manager, as I started like analyzing and dealing with processing more data, I saw the more like connections with maybe like tables, spreadsheet, different types of databases, a lot of data, messy data, machine learning. And so like these are not all the books, but maybe half of the books I have studied over the years. And so like this is how I see like why social network analysis, where it is situated either in the grand like a scheme, landscape of computational method. I don't believe traditional qualitative research, like a survey research, statistics will not go away. They are the foundation. But if you have done or learned about this methodology, each has a strengths and like weaknesses and challenges. For example, qualitative research is great to capture the story and understand the phenomena deeper, but generalization is a huge challenge. If you use multivariate statistics, it is very useful to explain a theory or test a theory, test a hypothesis. But the big limitation is like you cannot study more than maybe 5, 10 variables, right? And so like that's where network analysis comes that helps you see the interdependence and structure. And when you have 20, 50, hundreds of variables, that's where machine learning comes very useful. And the messy data, like text analytics, natural language processing. And even though the last area does not get spotlight, maybe this is an area also like it is growing and becoming very important. Like the area such as the metaverse, a lot of times we don't have access to people data, human behaviors. And by like running through experimentations and simulations, but what people don't realize is how these data are not different from each other. Like many people consider these as a different research method and are like looking at different phenomena, but behind the scene, uh, the data doesn't have to be that way. The data can be seamlessly integrated, and the more you understand how the data is captured and where it is stored and how those data can be synthesized, then the capacity, possibility to apply to good research can be much stronger. And so like these are just the examples. I don't apply social network analysis or machine learning because that's cool or that's what I learned. I like published this and did a project using different methods such as structural equation modeling and scale development, survey research. Using a good instrument is still very important, even in social network analysis. But there are many topics where for especially doctoral students, junior faculty, junior research, there are not many good research. And so developing, this is one example about informal learning. And so even though there are a lot of instruments about formal learning, learning theory, like how people learn, because these days people say, I agree, 70, 80% of what you know comes from informal learning, like by talking to friends, by working on the project. But this informal learning happens at the action level, cognition, brain level, individual level, team level, and organizational level. Sometimes it can be intentional. Other times it can be like unintended but consequential. And so like this was another like research we as a team developed a scale survey. And another good method is a meta-analysis. So if the instrument has been used a lot to study like many different same variables, then you can compare. So the interpretation generalizability, that you can make about the impact of the instrument is much stronger. And so learning is one of my like a passionate area of research because I strongly believe if you stop learning, if you don't learn, then you are very limited. And so I always try to, if possible, publish maybe like 3 to 5 papers every year. And I try to include one conceptual and theory paper every time. So like how do you incorporate technologies and learning in the workplace? How do you balance the formal learning, informal learning? And so this is just one example. But so now I'm ready to talk about social network analysis. When it comes to like proving, studying the impact or evidence, I think maybe the tourism industry may not be so much different. Like you run a program, you develop a new product, new service, and what mostly people do is how satisfied are you? And how would you recommend this product to your friends? And you collect demographic information, you collect perception, attitude, and willingness. But the reality is, most organizations run multiple programs. And so another major weakness I see in survey research is respondents. You make an assumption people don't talk to each other and responses are independent. But look at your situation. You look at your workplace. What we do is like depending on who you are with, the work is you do those things, tasks with the people. And so everything is related. Who you are with is heavily influencing your colleagues. Those colleagues influence you, but the current multivariate statistics don't answer anything. So one theoretical framework before talking about methodology is a social capital. So I cannot see the chat space, so I will just run it as a pop quiz. So there are many sports teams. I know people travel and spend a lot of money to watch a sports game. There are basketball, like a baseball, football, soccer. Among all the world like professional teams, which team do you think will be most valuable? Like financially, Fortune 500, they assess the value of the company, sports team. So can I guess? You can turn your microphone. You can maybe guess. If this was maybe in a like a classroom or site, I might have prepared a gift. But you can email me. If you if you can find an answer and email me, I will send you some gift. Okay. So what's your guess?
LA Lakers.
LA Lakers. That's a good guess, but that's not the correct answer.
Oh, really? New York Yankees.
That was close. They ranked
Uh,
number 2 this year, but
oh,
not number 1 team.
number one. Texas Rangers.
So I will give a chance to other students too. It's not a fair game. Dr. Gu gave 3 tries. So Texas Rangers, yeah, they won the World Series last year, but they don't make a list at all.
Mhm. Mm. I don't know. Lakers.
So there are two important, maybe is there anyone want to guess? Try. So
Mhm.
baseball came up, basketball came up, but no team for soccer came up.
Mm. Football team. I think football professional is larger than any other football, the professional games in US. Football. Football teams. I don't know very well about the football team, but probably Texas one something.
So New England Patriot,
Okay.
maybe Tom Brady name might be familiar to people who enjoy football.
Yes, yes.
But New England Patriot is not the most valuable team. So
Mm.
LA 다저스.
LA Dodgers, that's a good guess. So I will give you an answer. The answer is on the screen,
Mm,
and it is actually Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys.
And there are two important lessons I like to share. So social capital. If you look at the picture, like you are looking at a beautiful stadium facility. We used to value like economic asset when we try to evaluate the like value of something potential, financial industry or equipment, facility, money. So we used to emphasize more on the economic asset. And then human capital came up. And so, like, that was the reason, like, a World Bank and different countries invested in talent, individual talent and training. But maybe LeBron James, people debate depending on when you were born between Michael Jordan and maybe more young players. But he is claimed as one of the greatest player. They call it GOAT. But LA Lakers, interestingly, these days, for the last 10 years, probably rarely won a championship. And then even like they also have Anthony Davis, the player you see, used to be called also the future next like LeBron James. But the point is, Dallas Cowboys never won a championship.
Oh,
Last year, they really screwed the game, even
mm,
didn't make a play for like uh, was the level, but I forgot. But they not just ranked number one last year and this year, even after a very bad season, they've been ranked number one for 7 or 8 straight years. And I live in Texas. My house is in Frisco, 15 miles headquarters of Dallas Cowboys. They the things, events the Dallas Cowboys invest into the city, whether it is like local community parties supporting high schools, middle schools, the whole city franchise, they support graduations, nonprofit events. And so they created a lot of fandom, not just in Texas, but throughout the country, throughout the nation, in the United States. So they sell the most amount of goods, and their products are sold a lot the most in the entertainment industry. And so the point is, even the winning team doesn't get the like a championship the next year. And so everybody says and agrees these days the intangible asset, it is not the tangible asset that draws people to buy or draws top talents. And it takes a whole village, not just the top leadership, but the whole community, and not just the discipline you work on. But these days, the distinction between industries are quickly disappearing. And so how do you create the value? It takes a whole village and it takes a system to thinking. So getting more serious about network analysis, I wanted to like share more about where network is applied and how it is applied. And so Microsoft these days is considered as maybe recently after Google is one of a company, global leader where they do a very good job about like a talent development, supporting talent. And they use network analysis a lot behind the scene. So when you look at like a chart in the middle, those indicators measures you see number of ties, number of groups, number of cross group ties, share time with the core group ties, number of bridging ties, share time with the weak ties, number of churned ties, meaning ties you lost, and number of added ties. So when COVID hit, when something, a big shift happens in the environment, when you look at the left side, you see like which indicators increase or decrease and drop. And so when COVID hit, they looked at the calendar, Teams, and like a collaboration email software. They looked at the difference between high performers and low performers, high team, low team. And the chart in the middle shows which indicators significantly increase. So if you look at the only one that increased during the COVID is individual closure, meaning people tend to work with people they feel close to each other. And teams, the number that they drop the most is something the company has to pay attention. And so like working with the bridge ties, weak ties, and cross-functional groups, so those are the numbers that dropped significantly, meaning maybe during the COVID, during the crisis, people have a tendency to just hang out or interact with people they feel comfortable, and these like interactions change. And so there are a lot of these companies, startups applying data analytics, network analysis. So these days, the new employee turnover is a huge challenge. And so if people don't get oriented and develop enough network within the team, within the company for the first 10 months, then the turnover rate increases significantly. And so like these days, a lot of people use a collaboration software such as Slack or Google Workspace, and everyone has too many meetings. And so the company, these data analytics provide like these data and insights, and they create an intervention to address this phenomena. And so like if you understand and apply network analysis, career path is another like growing interest. So if you plan for the next position, or if you are trying to find how many potential like employees have these skills, what kind of background they have, what are the common paths they take. And so as long as they know how to look into the data and how to interpret, then in making these like decisions and interpretations, network analysis is used a lot. And people analytics, machine learning, I will show you some of the examples, like publications I did. And so job performance, when you have 30, 40 variables, your like project experiences, commuting distance, and current salary, hourly salary, numbers of projects, numbers of supervisors, machine learning allows you like to look at, apply multiple analysis at the same time, not just a regression analysis, but support the vector machine, random forest, the decision tree. There are lots of like different algorithms analysis you can apply, and compared to traditional statistics, it allows you to identify which variables are playing bigger role, like a strong influence simultaneously. And so I have done like these mini projects, and I am surprised these days. So how like these days AI tools, open source tools are coming. So this is an example we looked at. Like I have a good research team, and so LinkedIn like text mining, what kind of qualifications employee have and what kind of job responsibilities they expect. And during the COVID, actually, I looked at the Glassdoor data. So Glassdoor is similar to Job Planet and Blind in South Korea. And we looked at like a hotel industry and analyzed 10 some large chain hotels and small, medium-sized hotels, and looked at what are the like positive sentiment and negative sentiment. And so when you look at those like summary table on the bottom, then motivations, colleagues, job, passion, those came as a positivity, whereas bad work conditions, low wage, and like monotonous job conditions, those become as a barrier. So social network analysis is like when you look at social network, what is a network? It can be social network, as you can see. People interact, communicate with each other, but the actor doesn't have to be people. So individuals can use different resources, and people and resources can form a network. And so key like idea here is something useful. like flows and exist in the network. So a lot of scholars define network as resources embedded in the relationship. But it is also important to know sometimes the network, more cohesive network, not all the networks are good. So there is a terrorist network and there is a virus network. And so knowing what flows and what interacts is also important. And so I don't know, like, whether you guys have courses in network or how much experiences you have with a network. And one common feedback is I teach graduate level network analysis courses, two courses at Texas A&M. And I know there's no way I can cover everything that I teach over the 2 semesters in about an hour. But I commonly hear from my students and people, a lot of people have a misconception about network analysis as a network visualization. Struggle with how to design a good network. They read the books, they read the articles, and they tell me because there are so many concepts and the method is new, it's not easy. And so today, my goal is to give a good overview and like a common challenges people experience when it comes to trying to read a book or design and interpret the network study. And so these are fundamental concepts. So when you look at your network, look at your network. You have like a friends, you have a family, you have a faculty or advisors, you have seniors, you have maybe if you are working, then you have colleagues in the workplace. So the size matters. The larger network means more opportunity. The strength of the relationship matters. So you probably heard about strong ties, weak ties. The more you frequently interact with, the more stronger you feel about the other person. So strength of the tie matters. And density. So some network group is more loose. People maybe meet once a month, and some group they meet more frequently, and then people are more connected. And also your centrality will be different. In some group, you may be a key person. In another group, you may be like participating as an observer or passively. And so also the type of range and diversity. So if all the network you have are mostly friends and you don't have a good professional network, then those matter too. So why do you build a relationship? I went to the seminar at Kyunghee University and I didn't go there just out of reason. We've been Facebook friends, Dr. Koo, and I saw your postings. And so weak ties, social media friends are very good to pick up a new source of information, different perspective. And like I said, when I have a high interest in like a tourism hotel industry, maybe I consider like those as a great opportunity. That's an investment. You don't just make an investment in relationship because everyone is busy and everyone has limited energy, right? And so when it comes to relationship, there are two types of relationship. One is called instrumental. So this is for if you want to accomplish something, complete some task. And so that's called instrumental relationship. And the other part is called like an expressive relationship for supporting and bonding. So this also is related to the concept of strong ties and weak ties. Weak tie can help you find a job, find a new career, find a new information, innovate, and strong tie can help you become more comfortable social support, but it comes with the challenges, right? Because everyone shares a similar idea or attitude, new information doesn't flow, come to the group. And another last point is, so why it is important to mix. If everything is all about work and if the person is trying to like utilize the other person to take advantage of opportunity, like that person will lose trust. And so having a good balance is important. And a weak tie is also is the source of creating harmony in the society, not strong ties. Because if people stay within their group, they don't interact with each other. It is the group, community boundary spanners who go outside and connect other different groups. And so those people play a key important role. So this is a good place to start. When you look at the organization, every organization has a chart, hierarchy, and it is hard to understand how people are working. And so when you look at the screen on the left side, uh, these are same size group, but you can compare different group. So if you look at the right side, like the yellow, not yellow, what do you call it? The not red, but close to red, like the group is concentrated and not interacting with each other. If this is a R&D like a unit, maybe that's okay. And the same group, maybe look at the green. If they are like consulting group, field group, then sales group, then you would prefer to see the structure connected with the others. If you look at the purple, then these like one group is divided by the two. Maybe there's an in-group, out-group. You don't want to conclude, generalize too much, but visualization gives a good, maybe like a place to start. The screen, the right top side, the picture you are looking at is one project. I did one company in Korea. And so this is 46 executives, like a collaboration network, knowledge sharing network. So the company chief human resource officer came to a conference in the US, and when he heard my seminar about data analytics, he came to me and shared this. We did culture survey. We did 360 like a multi source feedback, but I have no idea how our leaders are working together. And our company has three locations, one in China, one in Indonesia, one in Malaysia. And we like the cost expense in one area is going up, and we need to really do a better job like among our executives. So like we have no idea. And so we did a social network analysis, and I will show you. And these days, this is a worthy investment, especially if you like numbers, quantitative research data, and you want to strengthen, improve your research skills. There are a lot of open sources where you can download the graphic and actually network data too. So Node Excel is a free tool. They post a lot of social media network, YouTube network, Twitter network, and you can download the raw data and you can look at the data and apply network analysis. So this is a common procedure you apply. So you decide which network to study first and what kind of relationships you want to study, because there are lots of relationships: advice seeking relationship, friendship relationship, trust relationship. I get a lot of questions too about social network analysis. Dr. Yoon, Professor Yoon, can you recommend some instrument? I have a hard time finding a good instrument. The reality is there are not many good standardized instruments, because in every workplace, every organization, the important relationship is changed and different. So for example, if it is a security company, maybe like in making sure you check every detail, that kind of relationship is important. Maybe problem solving consultation is important. If it is a marketing company, maybe who do you share creative ideas? Like who do you go for new ideas? That kind of relationship is important. But good news is there are lots of study, a lot of literature, a lot of theories, and I will share how you identify key relationships. And so you collect data, you visualize, and you analyze. And so I will show you different examples, and I will cover how to design your network research. So when you look at the screen, so here's a Kent. When you look at carefully the left side, the bottom, Kent interacts with any my eyesight are getting worse, and so it's hard to see the name on my screen. But Kent is interacting with only one person. And if this is your teamwork, or if this is your work group, or if this is your class, then you may conclude like Kent is not a central member in the class network. There's a core group, maybe 8 or 9 people, and there's one person. And so maybe if in your degree program, in your coursework, you may see this kind of relationship network. But can you make a conclusion based on this research that Ken is not a central player? But if you, so there are 2 types of network research. One is called whole network, is called also social-centric network. The other one is called personal network or called ego network. And so on the right side, at the center, you see Ken. And you see Ken's family network, friends network, workplace network, like a neighborhood network. And you can see Ken is very well connected. And whether it is if the color represents gender or ethnicity, then it will tell a different story. And behind the picture, actually, there are numbers, and there's a way you can collect this kind of data. So the first decision you can make is if the number of people involved is 30 or 50, then like everyone can decide who they interact with. And the more close collaboration interaction is necessary, then maybe whole network is your option. You may consider whole network as your primary design. But in using the whole network, you ask the person to select or like tell you how often you interact with this person or whether you interact with this person or not. And so if the number of the others called alters is too many, like 100 is too many, maybe answering one question will take 5 minutes and you may not be able to ask more than 2 questions. And so in that scenario, then you use personal network, and there are subtle differences, but very important differences. And so like a lot of people also misunderstand network research is very different from survey traditional research. That's a very wrong idea. You can append, you can use the network research on top of traditional survey research, and you can find much more insight. So if you want to, for example, like Kent, the previous example, if Ken was a respondent, one of your survey participant, and maybe there are other 50, 100 people, and you are interested in how the family network, friends network, if it is a tour, tourism industry, and the selection of the tour, online tour or offsite tour reservation, you want to see how they affect. Maybe there can be some survey, I don't know, like a previous survey measuring their personality, maybe like perceptions about tour. But you can add network research on top of those variables to like look into much more, many more variables together. So that's the beauty of network research. But it is important to ask good questions and what you want to find out. So at the individual level, at the team level, at the whole like a system level. So at the individual level, you want to find out who are key players, who have a lots of connection, or who may not have a lots of connection, but who play an important role connecting. And in the workplace, this is a very common phenomenon. If you work hard, you may end up being asked to do more. And so there are a lot of times you want to know who you should protect more, who should you support more. And when it comes to team, not every team is the same. Some team needs to be protected and they need to be more cohesive, but it is still important to have a loose connection with the outside. But if it is an innovation team, not only innovation is important, but for the innovation to become materialized and productized, then each member has to have a good connection to get buy-in from different unit in the organization. And if it is at the whole organizational level, then finding a silo is also important, or somebody key player. So the last picture is you may have a lot of suppliers and outside the relationship, and only one person plays that role. If the person leaves the organization, then you get into trouble. And so there are lots of theoretical framework, and you just don't pick these variables randomly. So knowledge sharing is one a common topic studied in the network research, and social capital, social network. So this Nahafi Ghoshal's paper has been cited as many close to Granovetter's strong weak type. So when you talk about social capital in the structure, in the network, the person's centrality or periphery, location, degree, composition matters, and how people share the norms, culture, cognitive capital matters, and the quality of the relationship matters. But this doesn't translate directly into outcome. So those network resources, social capital, have to be explored or combined or explicitly utilized. So when it comes to this construct theoretical framework, whether it is a knowledge-based form, knowledge-based theory, there are a lot of good useful theory. This is another framework I really like a lot. So why do you?
Professor Yoon,
Yes.
I want to give it a chance to interact with us. The back to slide,
Okay.
previous
So
slide, just
okay,
one.
this one.
Yes, yes. Probably so far I'm listening very carefully about your research and your area. Okay, your research focus on human resource management, human development.
Yes.
It's largely that area is essential part of the management, and the people are considering those part is a human resource part rather than technology analytics. There's a total misunderstanding after I seen you the presentation. You handled a lot of technology analytics, data analytics, and social network analytics. Here's my question. In my class, we are pretty much study on hospitality and tourism and sports, some kind of stuff. And student may misunderstandably may think, okay, I don't need technology or I don't need data analytics on my domains. But however, without data analytics, we cannot get the value of information, and we
Yes.
cannot verify the relationship between the social capital and the outcomes of that social capital. So what do you think of, what is your advice for our students? Like, okay, in terms of technology, in terms of data analytics, how much we are importantly observed in technology and data analytics in our domains?
So that's an excellent question. Even though a domain can be different, tourism hotel is not my domain. So please, if my response and answer is not sufficient, please let me know. So, but the process to me is it can be very similar. So whether it is related to consumer behavior. I think your industry, there are different people working together. So and for different team, for example, whether it is the supervisor, whether it is a person who does marketing, who designs a product, then everyone will have a place in terms of their centrality
Mhm.
or within the structure.
Mhm.
Different people will have different numbers of ties,
Mhm.
relationships. And so when you want to look into how the interaction, the network density, team cohesion, predicts like the outcome, whether the outcome is related to human behavior or profit.
Mhm.
And so I am hoping maybe like those who watch and hear today's presentation can see like the similarity, applicability of social network research. So data analytics is there are data and there are analysis. There are two parts. So what is critical to understand is what kind of data and where those data come from, and how do you analyze like those different sources of data. And so that would be my answer to your question, Dr. Koo.
Yes, yes. So here students so conceptually and theoretically Rens actually is an essential part of understanding the domains and theoretical base. However, as for students, actually have to do some in detail and verify that theory. So in order to get a job or in order to the work, I think this kind of tools and data analytics is really necessary for them.
Yeah,
Uh, but however, some of the students are misunderstanding. Oh, I'm studying on the hospitality and tourism. I don't need that
yeah.
kind of a technology and data analytics. It's wrong, actually,
That's a
right?
that's an excellent point. Yes.
Uh,
So I like to add to that to
uh,
for students.
uh,
So like whether wherever you go,
uh,
the person who hire you
uh,
or who interview you will be much happier to see you have this skill and you have this experience,
yes, right.
rather than telling them I can do multiple regression analysis, I
Uh-huh,
can do like a machine learning.
uh-huh,
If those technical skills people can learn in 2 months, 3 months,
uh-huh,
it is this like a design and analysis skills and skills to be able to align
uh-huh,
and answer why.
uh-huh,
And so why is that important? If you
mhm,
try to gather, like for example, consumers' previous
mhm,
like income or
mhm,
maybe like a purchase transaction history,
mhm,
collecting data is a lot of money, and
mhm,
it has a lot of issues,
mhm,
privacy, and so
mhm,
you have to justify.
mhm,
And so in your defense and justification, like in explaining why this like it makes a difference, you want to start with a good theoretical conceptual
mhm,
framework. So for
mhm,
example, I talked about this is a social capital framework, but
mhm,
why do you study a network?
mhm,
Because if you fear peer pressure
mhm,
or like people around you influence your decision behavior, then that's a conceptual framework, theoretical framework you can apply. And you
mhm,
don't have to have all the answer.
mhm,
Using ChatGPT, using Google Scholar, Google Search, what kind of framework, who is famous for the theory of social
mhm,
capital, social influence,
mhm,
that will really help you like
mhm,
for your career and to
mhm.
improve your research skill.
Okay. One more questions about according to this framework, there's a structural dimension, cognitive dimension, and relational dimension. Why
Yes.
not emotional dimension?
Oh, so emotional these days, emotional intelligence is a popular topic. I teach a
Oh, I
course
see.
on leadership. It's
Mm-hmm.
at more at the individual level.
Okay.
So of course, you can study emotion using homophily, like
Uh-huh.
MBTI type
Uh-huh.
or a
Uh-huh.
similar personality, outgoing person.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to like designing a project, designing a research, which
Uh-huh.
variable is relevant at the individual level, which variable is relevant at the network level, that distinction is very critical. And so when you look at this social capital, this is about the relationship.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Koo. So I know students in the US is the same. Students don't ask a question, but the more questions you ask, it will help you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, right.
So I will skip the theoretical framework part and go into more like a design part. And so these are like not just random topics, whether it is within a tour company, one hotel, or across different hotels, or like a chains. These are situations, a lot of studies exist. So whether it is to create a partnership, for example, supplier, board of director, investor network, employees, people moving around, patent. And so these are types of different outside the boundary network. And when it is within the like a single organization, there's a merger acquisitions, communities, and these days agile work is like used a lot. And so this is not just the HR, this is across all the different industry. So the more you want to see, better understand how collaboration, communication, interaction makes a difference, then these are maybe good examples, context boundaries you may consider applying network research. So you may wonder, how do you collect the data? And so you are looking at different ways network data can be collected. And so if you look at the left side, so select people who you frequently talk with. Select people who you give advice or like have a lunch or drink together to capture friendship. So I talked about expressive relationship and instrumental relationship, or you can ask people to list up to 5 people, 10 people you did this kind of relationship, or you can design the survey to, instead of asking multiple questions, like one question at a time, and it doesn't have to be from survey. If it is a Facebook data, if it is a Twitter data, if it is a email data, if it is a calendar meeting data, as long as 2 columns can be captured, who like it did this together or who happened to be in the same place together, that's a network data. And so I did this project with one company. They like did like promoted like they selected 20 about key team leaders in a company. And from my experiences, some of you may experience this too. When you get a promotion, when you have a when you got a promotion, then well, it's good. It comes with a lot more salary increase and more responsibilities. But the biggest challenge is you will probably do many different things. And knowing who to ask what will be very important. And so the part of their team leader training did not like cover the networking part. So we asked this question. I asked this question. When I need help or information, I can ask this person. This person will help me when I ask for help. And so not just getting help, access is also important. Having more interaction with this person will improve my effectiveness. This person is close to me to discuss important matters. So you can think about maybe important relationship in your work context, in your industry context, maybe exchanging information, tour information with this person will motivate me to engage in participating in more tour, things like that. And so you can see how, because people didn't know each other first time. And so you can see the number ones picked is much less, like not everyone knowing each other. And then like there are lots of tools you can study again. Like it gives a good descriptive information. So in my social network analysis class, I did this survey with the students. And so students don't know each other. And always it's a kind of challenge who I pick as my teammate and who is a key person. And so like you are looking at the cell phone screen capture and like desktop, laptop screen capture. So like in the class network, maybe idea consulting, problem solving, recognizing like expert, and if you are stuck, then going for help, those are important. And not only that, I said network relationship question can be combined with a traditional survey. So if it is a consumer behavior or like a student course engagement behavior, there are instruments, so they were implemented together. And so you can see the Excel spreadsheet captured the relationship data. And on the right side next to it, you can see their Likert scale, like response data. And so you can see, like depending on this data, you can capture all kinds of descriptive information. So network analysis is a very rigorous method, I tell you. So it's not just like a recent trend fashion. And so there you can check the accuracy, whether people lied or answered honestly. And so the way you interpret is the left side, the row is a respondent, and the column is like who they picked. And so by calculating the average, calculating the total, you can see who only picked everybody but were not picked much. And so you can compare that kind of data. And at the individual level, how much reciprocity happened between those two. And so you can tell the quality, accuracy of the responses. And so at the individual level, these are common like indicators. So you want to know how many connections the person has. And having many connections doesn't mean the person is central. So for example, like if you have 200 friends, and that's a lot of opportunity maybe. But if you have 5 friends and 5 of them are President Obama, former president, and maybe BTS, RM, and maybe IU, maybe opportunity you have will be much higher. And so that's called eigenvector centrality, like connecting to powerful people who have a lot of connections. And how fast you can reach your network, that's a close indicator. And between this is also a key indicator. So when you look at the picture, maybe in order to reach everybody, the person you have to go through is a very in the central, like a bridging position. And so here maybe C, and maybe K, I. So those people may have a higher betweenness centrality. And so K step, depending on how many steps you have to take in order to reach other people. And so I don't expect you will be able to memorize all this, but as you can see, the terms are relatively new. But my reason for sharing this is when you study a book, when you read a book, there are reasons to understand this concept because not just the number, but quality and characteristics of the centrality matters. And so there are a couple of things you also want to collect. So you want to see what kind of others relationship you have. And I told you about the tendency, people tend to hang out with similar people, same ethnicity, same gender, same school, maybe same major. And so there are measures that allows to capture that homophily. So like whether if the connection comes all the connections from the same group, then there are ways to translate, convert the number called the EI index. And that's an index that only captures among the connected relationships. But there are relationships you didn't pick. And so there are also like measures that count those. And this looks a little bit complicated, but I hope this can give you some confidence. My undergraduate major was English literature. I didn't like math. I didn't like statistics. But my graduate school forced me and made me realize if I really want to understand and explain the phenomena, there's no way. Like you better learn the statistics and connect these numbers to what you are trying to measure and what you are trying to interpret. And so, like how similar your friends' connections are, there are these measures. And also, if depending on the value, whether they are categorical data, gender, or major, or age. And so does it matter? And sometimes why is social network analysis sound a little bit difficult? Because if you have a continuous data, I'm sure you are learning this in the graduate school, basic statistics or foundation of research methodology. You learn about continuous variable, you learn about nominal variable, ordinal variable. The reason you study those is through, depending on the data, calculating standard deviation. That explains the difference, the level of range. And so don't worry about this, like understanding exact meaning. The software generates numbers for you. So the most important is what is available. I will make this slide available to you after today. And so if you want to maybe revisit some of the concepts I explained, then please do that. And so with the at the ego level, so you are interested in whether your networks are within the team, across the team. And so I don't know, some of you might have heard about structural hole. Ron Burt is a famous scholar in network analysis. And so the structural hole means in your network, if there are lots of holes, that means a lot of opportunity for you. And so there are measures that capture like a structural hole through measure indicator called effect size and constraint. Again, the software gives the number for you. There are Gould and Fernandez score that gives you the number so that it can tell you. So when we shared this result with the HR, like the company CHRO, they were very excited because some of the executives realized, oh, I just joined the company. I didn't know my network. And so the next slide, network analysis gives this number at the formal group level and informal level. If the interactivity is below 0.2, 1 to 8 ratio, that's an indication of a silo. And so there are lots of informal group measures too, called the click, meaning everyone connected. Computer software, you want to calculate the numbers of n click, 3 click, 4 click, 5-member click, 7-member click. It gives you, if you run those different numbers of clicks, then it gives you a good idea, maybe how close people are each other, how cliquish, how many clicks, groups, subgroups exist in our company. And so the algorithm even exists to detect how many graphically communities exist. And so this has a lot of good usage, even though I may sound like repeating a lot. And so in this situation, in a company, like how many subgroups do we have? Which groups are likely to maybe fight with each other? They use this a lot in actual, lots of field. And
Okay,
so
Professor
this was
Yoon, I got a question about this social network analysis. As you
yes,
know, I am on one of the very active social network, you know, uh, persons. I
yes,
I am uploading many contents uh, once or twice in a day, and I uploading my personal contents as well as public contents and
yeah,
political comment and the sort of things. So through your expertise and that uh, kind of a behavior, like for example, like me, probably I'm the one of the contributor to my networks.
oh yeah,
So uh, and one of my colleagues told me, uh, you are actively working in the Facebook. and meeting with many people and drinking with people and socially actively connecting each other. And as a social scientist, uh, if you spend your more time with the friends and the SNS activity, uh, that's why your academic performance is better than any other person. What do you think about that?
I don't buy into that argument because I don't have a strong evidence, but me can be an example.
Uh-huh,
I am very active. I am decently cited on Google Scholar.
uh-huh.
My citation is close to 4,000. I don't know about your number, Dr. Ku.
I'm 10,000,
So yeah,
over
like
10,000.
it, not everyone reads Google Scholar. Only maybe academics, serious friends. The reason I use a social media, Facebook, is
Uh,
uh, probably same as you. Like
uh,
I like to pick up different sources of information.
mhm.
And I also am a firm believer studying, doing research doesn't have to be lonely. Why do you hide? Like if
Yes.
that's something you enjoy and if you can share useful information,
Uh-huh.
maybe so like you may not know exactly who you impact, but
Yes.
you probably experience this. Run into a lot of people who say, I don't know before, I'd never met before, but at
Yes.
the conference, oh, I check your Facebook. I
Yes.
enjoy reading your Facebook.
Yes.
And so I try not to post too many,
Uh-huh.
but I like this is my way of sharing and communicating, maintaining and being open because
Uh-huh.
I get new ideas from social media. Then if I don't do Facebook,
Uh,
then my like a boundary of thinking will be very narrow and
uh-huh.
just studying.
Uh-huh. Right. Right. I just a curiosity.
Yeah.
Of course, I told my wife, whenever I drinking with my friends and colleagues, and
Yeah.
I drunken, and then I back to home and I told I'm studying because
Yeah.
I'm a social scientist. So I met
But
my friends and drinking and sharing the chat information and
yeah.
sort of activities drive me to produce more papers.
Well, for some people, that's the honesty, and everyone is different. I know. Like I don't
Yes,
post after drinking. I don't post to my social life, but for different reasons. So
yes,
not every to me, not everyone takes the message the same way.
yeah, yes,
But
right,
social
right,
media to me is definitely a good medium to leverage weak ties.
yes, right.
So, like, I don't share anything related to my close friends. I have a very close circle of friends,
Uh,
but rarely my friends from close circle reply to
uh,
my post.
uh,
And Facebook is for older timers, like
uh,
younger generations use Instagram.
uh,
And I have a daughter in
uh,
college,
uh,
and she doesn't use Facebook,
uh,
like all other different social media, but that's a good source of weak tie new
uh,
information.
yes, yes, good.
And so, like, I know I have maybe about 20 minutes, so I will run through and finish.
Sure.
So, like, so when we did this analysis with the executives, their first reaction was like this,
Mm,
like, how can you tell about our relationship? I worked with this person like for a long time, and we captured like the unit data, work function data, geographical distance data, none of them was significant. So if you look at the P column, so the number less than 0.05, so task interdependence and friendship mattered for executive collaboration.
mm,
And this was a huge surprise to them about task interdependence because, like when people ask you, how much do you share with this person? Like the person who responds tends have a tendency to say, I share a lot more.
mm,
But two people may not agree with each other. The other person may think differently. And so you can like calculate whether two people agreed or not, and depending on you apply different criteria. But people, in other words, doesn't collaborate. The biggest factor that forces, encourages to people to share something useful was whether their work is closely related. And the thing that I explained is people may not have a misconception, overjudge generously about like how their work is closely related. Maybe if this was a finding, then maybe helping them see how their work affects each other can
Mhm.
be one good solution. And
Mm.
so I talked more about like a whole network when the boundary is clear.
Mm.
And when the boundary is not clear, and so I teach my network analysis course in two levels,
Mm.
level 1 and level 2. And in this class, the design is like when the boundary network is not clear. And so I brought in three projects. One is Texas State Water Soil Reservation client from College of Agriculture. They got state funding. And another client is University Student Support Center. In the United States, they have a lot of foreign students and
Mhm.
they have a lot of first generation students.
Mm.
And they usually, those students lack and have much weaker social capital, social network. And so supporting them
Mm.
like through more tutoring, counseling,
Mm.
intervention is an important agenda. And
Mhm.
so like in learning about network research, I require my students to form a group and start with a research question purpose. It's not easy,
Mm.
but it is very important to have a focus. And
Mm.
so I have them revise like through every different module.
Mm.
And in doing that, I arrange the meeting with the client.
Mm.
And I have them read the articles and find the articles. And so you are looking at the screen, what they submit, and I give feedback. And so like through the client meeting, like I encourage the students to prepare questions, find about who are important participants. So in this case, the landowners, so the foreign species invasion is a huge challenge in the US. So like there are landowners, there are county agents, there are federal like agencies. So this is not my domain, but I am sharing this to help you see where, how network research is not domain specific. It can be applied to agriculture, it can be applied to like education, it can be applied to many different areas. But commonly, it is important to identify the core network boundary and who are players, key players, because you eventually want to better understand the network composition, network structure, and people like behavior within the network. And so, like again, you pick social capital, social influence, social support, maybe in this context, maybe who they have friends with, who apply certain policy or treatment, like so maybe social influence can be one theory. And then I like to ask students to find what are the causality, possible causality. And so it can be individuals' income, geographic location, their participation in a community, membership in a professional association. It is open. But by reading the articles, by having meetings with a client, I encourage my students to capture these essential data. So the respondents will be called egos, node or actor, and who they interact with. Those will be their alters, can be friends, colleagues, and what kind of relationship. It can be like ego alter ties. Is it communication? Is it consulting? Is it sharing information? Is it sharing hobby? And so I want you to think about in your like a research context, maybe hotel, tourism, what kind of relationship can be important. And then lastly, how those like alters are connected to each other. So this is how you collected the data. So like name up to 10 people who you go for maybe getting information about a tour. And you collected their gender, maybe you collected their education, you collected their maybe income, depending on what you are interested. And so you look at like the table example, so about the ego data, and Pam have identified these 4 friends, 5 friends, 10 friends, and you capture their data. And lastly, about how they know each other, how they communicate with each other. Why do you collect this data? Because when it comes to network, social network, depending on who you are with, what kind of network you have, those can work as a resource, but also as a barrier. So for example, if you have a close friend who is like close friends to most of your close friends, that friend knows you too much. And so they may not need you. Your friends may not need you. Something happens. And so for that kind of reason, the network structure of your individuals may affect opportunity and resources, and the structural whole, or like a Gould and Fernandez indicator, you cannot apply without this kind of data. And so when you look at the table, then Bill, so the ego here is Pam. And Bill is Pam's friends, Cynthia is Pam's friends, Lydia is Pam's friends, and some of them, they know each other or they communicate with each other. So you can ask Pam, how do they communicate with each other? And that data can be captured that way and can be converted to another table format on the right side. And there are many software. And so if you know like what kind of data you collected, then where it goes to, is it like a respondent attribute, ego attribute? Is it like alter attribute? And is it alter your friend's ties? Then the software populates that for you. But you as a researcher has to decide. No software does this for you. No AI does this for you. Do I want to look at similarity? Do I want to look at the difference? Because people, depending on the prestige, depending on the range, depending on the diversity, depending on the homophily, so the influence of those attributes are different. And so like this is getting close to my later slide. And so like with this kind of personal network data, because everyone is like picked different friends, and so at the lowest level there's a data, and at the higher level there's a like a respondent data. And some of you may have used the multi-level analysis. So at the ego level, it can be different gender, it can be different ethnicity. Maybe the influence of these, maybe homophily, similarity, maybe range, may act differently. And then that's where you apply, maybe, I will not get into a technical part, but different intercept, different slope in regression analysis, maybe those numbers might be different. So that's where multi-level analysis can be different. So I want you to see the slight difference. When you study the whole network, I said maybe collaboration is key. And so you looked at all kinds of data. But when the like a large boundary, large numbers, your research question tends to kind of ask, what's the influence of maybe like a similarity, homophily? And so you are trying to find an answer that can be generalized to the whole population. And so like network research is very versatile. And so these are maybe like some of my publication examples. So you have like HR professionals, their career development is important. How many people they go for advice, how many like network size, density they have. And so like you can find the conclusion. Network analysis is very vast. I just said 2 courses, but like you can study the whole network hierarchy, horizontal characteristics, because no matter how big your network is, whether it is like a million, billion, everything starts from like a dyad relationship, triangle relationship. And so there are lots of different approaches to network analysis that you can analyze like a different patterns, different influence. So people analytics will be my last slide, and maybe I have 5 minutes left. And so data analytics, computational method, what does it do that the traditional method does? So here, apologize for the HR data set, but maybe I can come up with maybe tourism data set. People buy different products, right? Different like services. And so when people choose different conditions, and it translates to in research terms, all the columns doesn't fit because everybody picked different services and products. That's when you apply Bayesian analysis, conditional probability. And so like machine learning, actually gaming esports teams applies a lot of these analysis, even though people don't realize. So this is my last slide. What is HR analytics? What is people analytics? It's not domain specific. It's not just about HR. And so like in every industry, you do learning, you do hiring, you do onboarding, and you work with the suppliers. There's like a labor market. And so when it comes to analyzing those, you just don't start it randomly. Like you pick like partners, who cares, make a decision, and you draw the map, you draw the chart, multiple programs you invest. What are driving the mechanism? So usually it has to do with the motivation, knowledge, skills, or investment programs that affects the outcome. And so that's when you look at the data. So don't jump into the data. Don't try to think data analytics is cool. And so let me learn like a
Nothing
data.
cool.
So it's not cool. It's not cool. But in
It's
order
dirty
to
work.
really what to select and what to analyze. You cannot analyze everything. As you can see, there are lots of data, lots of internal, external, different types of data, but it is important to like prioritize and understand where your data come from. And so I just we published a special issue on people analytics, and there are maybe 4 or 5 special issues from different disciplines: management, information systems, HR management, and our field. It took me about 2 years. I worked as a special issue editor, and so we included 5 like journal articles around different topics. So some has to do with ethics, some has to do with research, some has to do with the topics and trends, some has to do with like industry and certain sectors. So this is like I consider it as a growing area. So I will finish my presentation here. I know 1 hour, 30-minute lecture is not easy to like keep paying attention to. So thank you for your participation interest, and I will open up the floor for questions.
I think your presentation and your lecture is open up the what is the social network is and what kind of domains and dimensions we can do some research with the social network. It's a great chance to to meet social network because of your lecture. So I already ordered to my students who are in here. I ordered, hey, let's do this with learning from the Yoon, Professor Yoon, and I'm asking my students to um, uh, read the article, and definitely I need your help, Professor Yoon, and please give me the list of what we have to do in a first stage. And the topics like this, these days a lot of the social network, Facebook, Instagram, those networks actually is very good for tourism, DMO's contents, like DMO is destination, marketing organizations like 한국관광공사 or 서울관광재단. They're doing a lot of stuff, the online contents and uploading those kind of contents, and then people are respond to those kind of contents and click or forwarding or leave messages, sort of things. And through those kind of activities, actually arrange and engage with the potential users and tourists, sort of things. So actually, in tourism industry, it's really necessary this kind of analytics. Who's gonna be respond to the DMO's, advertisement and promotions?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
So I'd like to share two things.
Mm.
Even though my presentation mostly focused on like human actors, in social network, the same exact technique can be applied to keyword network.
Mm-hmm.
And so like topic modeling, so that's one like a major analysis area where they use this kind of technique to find out what are the key trends or common keywords and how those keywords are connected. And so those findings are used in program planning a lot. And if the digital platform captures like who responds and who posts, then what you see is like there are people here, and maybe there are objects or like a bulletin messages, different ID. And so this becomes a multi-level data. And there's also an area called the two-mode data. Like when different objects, entity interact with each other, then there are ways to analyze those. And so you can find who are key players, who are frequent like respondents, and which messages, which ID gets the most attraction. And so like if a message about promotion or certain like a continent package receives more interaction, then maybe you can like utilize that kind of information to maybe we need to hire one more person to monitor the space and respond more quickly. Or we can maybe promote, give a gift or incentive for those active participants.
Right. That's right. It's a great research method, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably next time I'm going to invite you to a research method program that I designed. Yes. Okay, students, is any questions about this lecture or about him, about anything? It's your time. Okay.
Yeah, Professor, I have a question. One question. First of all, I want to say thank you. It was very interesting lecture. My question is, when we apply for a job, so there is a human resource department, and let's say there are 5 candidates, and all of them, their potentials are almost same. In that case, like human resource department, what kind of features of the candidates they pay attention more in that case?
Oof. That's a very difficult question, but important question. So in our field, we measure the validity of different hiring sources, and we also measure the inter-rater reliability. And so during the interview, the accuracy judgment can be very different across the interviewer. And so there can be a lot of bias too. So some people like have a bias against the women or like a different ethnicity. And so in HR, like in order to reduce the barrier, if not completely, then we use many different mechanisms. So like, for example, interview is known to have a poor validity. like less than 30%. And so like a work sample and like completing the task or project experiences, probation, internship, or structured interview rather than open questions. So asking every same question that is like with a scenario that is likely to happen in the real situation. So it's not just the one way, and they use it to make a decision. So my answer is yes, it's not 100 like a percent accurate science, but HR makes efforts and is applying this kind of like research-based knowledge to improve the predictability, accuracy of the job interview. And they know people bring different strengths. And so they try to measure like how reliable, dependable, how the person can get along where, how the person understands our needs and problems, personality, everything.
Good.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Thank you.
Aziza, where are you
Yeah.
from?
I'm from Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Which department, which college?
Yeah, I'm from Global Hospitality and Tourism Management
I see.
Global
Department.
Hospital and Tourism
Yeah,
Management.
yeah,
There's
from
my
this
department. I didn't see
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So
Yes.
are you guys mostly master students or doctor students, postdoc?
Both together.
I see, I see.
Okay. Others? Okay. Mm,
Yeah, I just checked, moved to the other screen because I see like an arrow. I wasn't sure how many people were in the room.
uh-huh. As room is it's quite many, 39.
So I hope like we still have 20 minutes,
Mhm.
and maybe while we are waiting for questions, let me share a story why I got interested in social network analysis.
Sure, good, good.
So in 2009, uh, like I became a associate professor in at one university in Illinois,
Mhm.
and they asked me to like work as a president of a state association.
Oh,
And so I said, why not? Like it's a good opportunity. I did.
uh,
And I miserably failed, I fear, as a leader of the organization.
uh,
I see in the room like a lot many students from foreign countries.
uh,
Like I know we are all smart people. Graduate school make you smart,
uh,
and I for 1 year I thought like if I do certain things as an outcome as a leader, I would be seen as a successful leader, and so I increased the membership and track participant of the conference double time. I increased the board of director like 2 times. But where I failed miserably failed was after 1 year, I didn't build a good social capital. I realized as a foreigner, as a international students, uh, it is the social capital, not the intellectual capital that is really important for my career as a professor, as a scholar. And so it was not just like an IT project management experiences, but I wanted to better understand my network. I wanted to better utilize, build up my network. And so that's how I got interested in the topic of social network.
mhm. Actually, this is a funny, uh, this is an interesting class. This class is not for only tourism and hospitality department. It's open
I
up
see.
for overall Kyunghee University master and degree PhD students. So probably here a few of students coming from where 체육학과, how can I say?
Oh, I see. Sports
physical
management.
physical management. Yeah, it's surprising to me. Over several students here, they come from the physical management.
Mm,
Some of people from engineering department, some from management department, and tourism department.
that's wonderful to hear.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
is quite, heterogeneous group.
Yeah.
But however, HRD, HRM is critical, the knowledge for even any department. So
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Any questions from students? Okay, go.
Good. Hello, hello, Professor. Thank you for your good lecture. And I just wondering, as you mentioned about the key person and and social analyzing methodology, but it's interesting, the key person. What is the main indicators of key person and standard?
So, the slide included 5 indicators. So, how popular, how many connections you have is one indicator, and how closely you are connected to other small numbers of higher ups, influential people, like an influencer, is another indicator, not the number. And how quickly you can reach everybody, because sometimes if there's a new message, then it has to be spread quickly. So that's another indicator. And how in the network where you are positioned in order to connect or bridge different people. So that's another indicator. So actually, there are lots of different ways to define how central the person is. And so it is not universally always one measure, but it is better to maybe sometimes you can combine the measure. So that's another great question.
Thank you.
And I appreciate especially those who come from other majors because I tell you this, you are taking a risk and you are innovating, you are trying out, you are trying different network.
Okay.
And leaving your comfort zone is never easy. And
Yes.
during my graduate school, I ended up taking courses from different programs because like a College of Education didn't offer a course on a small group.
Mhm.
And if this is a surprise, this will surprise you. In my field, HRD, there's no single school that offers courses on social network analysis.
Mhm. Right.
And I basically self-taught and studied, read
Oh.
as many articles and books.
Mhm.
And the reason is I published a lot, but my passion is not just the publishing. Developing a course is taking more time than writing a paper.
Mhm.
But I saw how this analysis can be, and so coming to Texas A&M, my main motivation and passion was to develop these new computational
Oh, I
method
see. Mhm.
courses for
Mhm.
our doctoral students.
Yes. Oh, good. Actually, I designed the research method class privately, and I put the structure equation modeling analysis, and
Yeah.
second survey experiment design, and third is econometrics, fourth is data mining, fifth is regression and econometrics, and sixth is machine learning and PLS. So there are several different research methods in order to publish the journal articles. However, I
Mm,
didn't include the social network analysis in the programs. Uh, I wish you come to that program together with me, and I want you to teach social network analysis for Korean networks. So
well, I will be open to collaborations. And so, like, rather than saying yes, I am like I enjoy like what I do a lot,
Mhm.
and so one of my key like
Mhm.
role these days is
Mhm.
serving, working as a president for the association is taking a lot of time
Okay.
on my part.
Okay.
But I do appreciate and
Mhm.
enjoy
Mhm.
because, like I said, and I agree with Dr. Koo totally, you have to collaborate.
Mhm.
Just a disciplinary research and work
Mhm.
will be okay. But like if you want to grow like a deeper and do more interesting things,
Mhm.
it's a totally different world now. So
Yes, a totally different world, and everything is connecting to person
yeah,
through the social networks, and
yeah,
it's so changeable. So weak tie, strong tie, both ties. So we
yeah,
need to do the research. So
yeah,
like a strong tie, we bond the friendship and
yeah,
colleagueship, and we can make publications with a strong tie. But however, weak tie is kind of a get our information and knowledge from the weak tie. And
yeah.
yeah. So definitely like a Professor Yoon, I never seen him before the years before, and we are together once because of a Facebook friendship, and I invite
Yeah.
him to this lecture today. So it's a way of world going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So any questions from students? Don't be afraid. You just speak out if you have any questions.
Professor,
Okay, go.
Yes.
I'm PhD student from business school.
Mhm.
I have a question. I think after this lecture, I think social network analysis is seem like cluster analysis. It's so similar to cluster analysis used to like example customer segmentation, customer relationship management used to analyze it. I think social network analysis also can use to analyze customer relationship management. So what do you think is the difference between those two research method?
So social network analysis, it has a lot of different analysis, and it can use multidimensional scaling, correspondence analysis. So there might be like people here who are not quite familiar with the clustering analysis. Rather than like trying to understand what it does, what it is, like to me it is more important to really like understand why you do clustering analysis and how is it working. So when you have a continuous data like numbers, then there are many different ways to apply different like distance measures. And so the more like they are close to each other. So whether it is a consumer behavior or whether it is maybe any types of different, I can't think of any specific variable. So what you try to do is to find a group. And in social network analysis, you have multiple measures at the individual level, at the team level, at the like entire network level. And so those community detection algorithm, clustering analysis, like a hierarchical clustering, those are different ways to identify how many clusters you have, like what kind of shape does the clusters have. And so there are like connections. But clustering analysis itself does not focus on the interdependence and influence of the structure and interdependence.
Thank you.
We have a question from text.
Okay, so let me go to the chat about social network. I wonder how you get the data for social network paper, online communication apps, Teams. Do you buy secondary data? That's another great question. You can collect social network data using survey, using interview, using social media, using web scraping tool. The one caution I want to make it clear is anytime you collect secondary data, it is hard to interpret the meaning of the connection.
Mhm.
And so it is easier to work with a secondary large data set, but those data never created with any research purpose in mind.
No.
And so you will always find like interpreting the like a result and justifying when you submit to the journal, reviewers are very critical about using the secondary data set. And not only that, web scraping is like a spear and javelin. So sword and spear, they change the scheme every time to block and reduce the bot traffic. And so the code that works brings the social like records the day when you do research the next month 6 months it is very likely that it's not gonna work. But these days like I use ChatGPT generate the code and go to GitHub or Stack Overflow. There are ways to bypass that, but it is not just one way. And the publication paper I showed, we used a company that collects those data for you.
Okay. So the questions Yoon Young Nam, secondary data. Actually, secondary data is not proposed for research itself. So
Yeah.
we're very careful interpretation from those results.
Yeah.
But how can we verify that the secondary data and the primary data? I think it's matched together through the survey, and then we can find out the motivation of that connection,
Yeah.
and then verify it physical connection through the social network. Is that way of research?
Yeah. Always it is possible to match, but one thing to be very careful is you have to get permission, you have to get approval. You never you never look into email message. You just look at like a recipient and sender and maybe subject line, but
Right.
transparency approval is critical. And so in network research, like even though you don't want to participate, others may pick you. And so one suggested approach is opt in and opt out. And so if you want to opt out, then you are not included at all, like from the beginning about from the directory or from the like. And so like there are a lot of journals focusing on method. And so like they check when you because unlike just the survey data, there can be a lot of missing cells in the
Right.
responses.
Right.
And so they measure the stability, accuracy, validity, retest reliability to establish how many insights do you need and how robust and trustworthy your interpretation is. And so like, I want to say this maybe, any method you study, the return will happen in a couple of years. Like some graduate students, novice researcher naively believe and hope that if they study this hard for 6 months, 3 months, then they will be able to publish a paper or write a paper. But it's not just a method. There's no such a thing. It's a shortcut, and it's not a wise investment. And so, because this is a graduate school like seminar, I strongly advise if you find something method to be very useful, you are passionate, then invest your time. It's a good investment. Yeah, not everybody like invest in the long term because it's hard, but because it's hard, you will have less competitors.
But we still need a mentor and teachers and professors who can
Yeah.
guide us to do this. So, based on my experience so far, experimental design, structural equation modeling, text mining, and econometrics, every single the publication, I always invite a very good
Yeah.
professors
Yeah.
as a team, and then it's guide us to do the not a shortcut, but right path, right path.
Yeah, that's a great approach, Dr. Koo. I tell my students, it's not just what you know. It's not, people say it's who you know. I disagree. It's who you know who knows what. So you better know who knows something deeply.
Yes. So, okay. One last question. If you want to speak in Korean, it's comfortably you can speak Korean.
정말 좋은 찬스예요.
As every person has a different character and personality. But always I address this issue. If you not speak out, you have not interest or you are not knowledge of this.
And there's no such a thing as a silly question. 네, 어떤
No.
질문도
Sure.
교수님, 그러면 제가 네트워크 분석에 관해서 오늘 처음 들어봤었는데, 이게 그러면은 기업이나 그런 뿐만 아니라 다양한 분야에서 네트워크 분석이 되는 것 같은데 맞나요?
네, 많이 쓰여요. 생각보다. 저널도 소셜 네트워크 어널리시스 하고서 뭐 그 호텔 투리즘 치면 꽤 많이 나올 거예요.
Then Joanna, you pay attention to do this research from now on.
네.
I will add Professor Yoon to your work. Please guide us, our students. Okay, any questions? Okay, just 1 minute left. Please, Professor Yoon, why don't you giving your idea or address a comment on for my students about life, about graduate school, whatever.
항상 이렇게 조언을 준다는 게 so it's always not easy for me to give an advice because like I try to think about what it was like when I was a graduate student long time ago. I know how like unclear and challenging graduate school can be, but I share this with my students. Like you chose something that is very significant and meaningful because that you probably this is your biggest challenge. And so feel good about not taking a shortcut, but choosing something that is like genuinely like challenging and hard to push yourself. And so don't forget that. I think you will be fine.
Yes. Today, let's wrap up our presentation. Thank you. Highly appreciate Professor Yoon. It's quite great, lecture. one of my students and my supervising students are highly interested in this stuff. May we start a new project with her and with you? I will call you later. Okay.
So it was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Koo, again, and hope to see you again in Korea or
Yes, yes, please.
somewhere.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. See you sometime later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.